Counter-Strike is surely one of the most popular franchises in gaming history. It is expected that a bunch of people make dozens of ripoffs from a successful game like this. But today we are going to talk about a special case, a video game named Zula. First of all, let's talk about the story behind the development of this game.
But before that, you might have questions about me or the abomination that I just revealed to your eyes. But save them to yourself, subscribe to my channel, and let us begin.
Sorena Games is an Iranian game studio which, according to their website, creates fun and innovative game experiences which players remember for a long time. Of course, if you consider long time as, I don't know, 5 seconds. Legends of Persia is apparently their first release game. The game features some characters from all Iranian legends. A great idea, but poorly executed. 2 years later, a masterpiece has been made. Wobbly Jungle, which clearly is not a game for wimps and little girls, with varied 60 challenging levels. I made a very detailed review about my long experience in the game, so make sure to check that out. After these two huge groundbreaking releases, the team accepted their skill issue and instead of making games, they came up with a better idea. A year earlier, in 2015, Madbyte Games, a Turkish game studio which was founded in 2012, released their first game named Zula. Zula was a successful hit in Turkey because it was the first online FPS game made by Turkish devs. Sorena, the developers of Wobbly Jungle, made a deal with Madbyte, purchasing the right to release their game in Iran. The game received a lot of attention and support upon its release in Iran, and this success happened for 4 main reasons. Number 1, at the first days, Sorena claimed they actually made this game and introduced Zula as an Iranian game several times. People was excited to see the first online FPS that was made in Iran. I guess Madbyte didn't care about the lie because it was making more money for them. Number 2, due to some tomfoolery from US, people in Iran cannot use any global payment system. This will limit the foreign countries from making money here. And in return, many local applications and sites use this limit to clone an exact idea and make money of it. With the same approach from Sorena Games, people could actually use their credit card directly in an online game for the first time, without using any third-party sites or other tricks. Number 3, people suffer from poor internet connection in Iran, especially around the time of the game's release date. Sorena established servers for the game in Iran, so players often feel a much better experience compared to laggy distance European servers. Number 4, it is very lightweighted game, and almost any redstone computer from Minecraft can run it properly. And this game was free at the time while CSGO wasn't. All these reasons together caused Zula to gain fame upon its release. Sorena then completely converted Zula into a pay-to-win game. You couldn't buy almost anything useful with in-game money. The only balanced gear you could purchase by grinding the game were a couple of weapons that needed serious upgrading to compete with the guns like behind the paywall. And even upgrading weapons was tied to microtransactions due to it being impossible by just playing the game. The game randomly drops you some trash items daily, but you cannot use them if you hadn't purchased the related gun. The game also drops weapons sometimes, but you can use them for a limited time. So again, they encourage you to spend money for the guns. They literally made a Counter-Strike ripoff to a money-milking machine, and later Madbyte did the same with the original version of the game. Sorena then had Madbyte make some stickers, skins, and some maps for the game to support their claim about the game being Iranian. But even after featuring all these Iranian stuff in the game, I haven't found any public posts on Madbyte's behalf acknowledging their relations with Sorena. So I'm pretty sure that Sorena Games didn't participate on development of these items. So they literally made tons of money for just translating the game. You may wonder what Sorena is up to these days. If you check their website, they are planning to publish a bunch of games under development by a studio called Catnap. To be honest, the story of Catnap really makes me scratch my head. First of all, if you look at their website, you'll see they are using the same website template as Sorena. You can even see Sorena Games header in their website. Oh my god, they are showcasing a tycoon game. You may consider this as lack of budget for designing or even an extraordinary friendship between two companies, but check this out. Do you remember the legendary game Wobbly Jungle? Look at its publisher. But seriously, why would a newly created studio publish an 8-year-old studio's game and become idle for like 5 years? And even now, take a look at the titles they are working on. Boomies, a Fall Guys replica. You may ask yourself, why are they trying to make a copy of a dead game? Sorena is planning to repeat the exact same scenario and publish games with the tag first time in Iran. Here's another example. Vidal, the first Irani. Oh, come on. There are some other ambiguous projects that are just a bunch of names only. The only accessible game that is linked to their website is Crimson, which is honestly impressive, but I don't know how Catnap is involved on this, because Catnap is not mentioned anywhere at the game. The only game theory that I have to explain all of this is that Catnap is not real. It's just Sorena Games itself hiding under another identity. But why? I don't know. The only way that all of this makes sense is this. But I know what you're thinking. They are helping the gaming industry to grow in Iran. But they lied. They made a game fully pay to win. And I just hate them. Besides, there are other true creative Iranian developers that are doing an amazing job without scamming people. Anyways, back to Zula. Let's take a look at the game itself. The game is made on 3D Game Studio. The only notable from published titles made by this game is the game we are talking about. No, that's not Hades 2 for sure. Like any other poorly made Counter-Strike ripoff, this game features many game modes, many copies of CS map, and many paywalls. Our lovely developers on Sorena Games couldn't just translate bunch of texts properly and broke the game on many ways. You know, part of it is understandable because Persian is written right to left instead of left to right. And this causes applications to be mirrored sometimes. But I don't get it why the progress bars feels backward, or why the center of this radar has offset, and instead of leaving traces behind, it lights its way forward. And yes, the problem is only on the Iranian version. Why haven't they fixed this obvious thing after all these years? Have they even played the game once? Do they even care about the game? Me neither, but you know, I'm trying to reach 8 minutes. By the way, their official YouTube channel posted this, and it's not an official collab or event. I think they just remade one of their maps on Fortnite. Anyway, that's all folks. What's the moral of the story? You don't need to be talented to make money when scamming people works just fine.